So just welcome again to everybody. My name is Yvonne O'Byrne. So I am the Business Development and Project Manager in Ibec. I work across the Manufacturing, Engineering and Polymer Technology apprenticeship programs with my colleague Trish Breen, who I'm sure many of you know very well at this stage. So we really appreciate you taking time out of your morning today to come and hear a little bit more information about our brand new apprenticeship program in Advanced Manufacturing Engineering. So this morning we have a jam-packed schedule. So I will be passing you over in just a second to Greg Redden from Johnson & Johnson, who is the Vice Chairperson of the Consortium, and to give you a little quick introduction. Then I will be back on the mic to give a quick program overview and just give you a little bit more information if you are interested in the program, just to let you know how you can get involved. And then I'll be passing over to Paul O'Dowd, who leads the program in ATU Galway, and he'll be talking to you about particularly focusing on the fourth year of our Advanced Manufacturing Engineering Apprenticeship program and really going through in a little bit more detail each of those final year modules, which we've put a lot of work into over the last 12 months. And I think as industry representatives, you'll be really interesting to hear what is involved in those modules. And finally, we will have 20 minutes at the end if you do have any questions. So if you're sitting there throughout the next 40 minutes, if a question comes to mind, there is a little Q&A tab up the top, in the top tab of your screen. You'll see a Q&A that you can pop any questions in there and we'll address them all at the end. Okay, brilliant. So I'm just going to pass over to Greg Redden. Greg.
Yeah, thanks, Yvonne. Hi, everybody. So just I suppose an introduction. So Greg Redden's my name. I'm Senior Operations Manager with Johnson & Johnson. I'm here 19 years, but I suppose just the context here is since around 2014, 2015, I've been very much involved in the learning and development for the full site. And I actually joined the consortium for this in actually 2015, which is scary to think it's nearly 10 years ago. But I guess the reason on Johnson & Johnson or my interest in joining the consortium at the time is like we were looking forward as a site and an expanding and growing site, and we realised we had a fairly significant challenge around both technical and engineering skills. And like there's a number of reasons for that, right? And people are aware, like nationally we're busy, right? But in the Midwest we're getting very busy. Lots of new companies coming into the region. Like the automation and the skill sets required from technicians and engineers had changed over the years, and it wasn't readily available in the marketplace. But also we probably saw like universities, students going to universities and spending the 4 years there versus exiting with that level 6 or level 7 as maybe they had done previously. So there was a little bit of a gap. So there's lots of different reasons why we identified that we were going to have a challenge. So I learned at the time that Ibec were actually looking at the apprenticeship models across Europe and looking nationally and doing surveys to see what the challenges were. And I was lucky enough to be invited up to a meeting in Athlone, and I joined the consortium as technical lead, and I'm still vice chair on the consortium. But what has it meant for Johnson & Johnson, this new apprenticeship, the new apprenticeship in 2015? It was validated in 2016, and we had our first 4 apprentices on site in 2017. Now, of the 4 apprentices, one thing we did see is the applications for those apprenticeship roles were actually quite diverse, which we didn't typically see coming into STEM roles. And I think that definitely helped the program, and it's been hugely successful. So it's grown. This year we're going to actually hire about 36 apprentices, and we know that covers all attrition for the site and also helps us to expand the business. In 2015, 2016, we were actually going internationally to try and source talent to bring back to the business here. So we no longer need to do that. So it's been hugely successful for ourselves. The apprentices themselves are very much involved in the program and the development of the program here on site. But I guess the gap has been for us, and I know like as part of this program, it's been about all industry talking to each other and what the needs are and working together. And for a lot of industry, there was a bit of a gap in terms of a level 8 apprenticeship. So when we talk about the technician at level 6 or level 7, it's more about support models. So if there's new NPI or protocols or validation, carry out some of the work or they'll follow the protocols. But the gap for us is we actually need somebody to design, to develop the protocols, to actually design the equipment. And that was a big gap for us. But this new level 8, and it's been absolutely fantastic working on this over the last year. Like, we've had lots of different companies across the country contributing, and the engineers and the great ideas. But what they're talking about now is the challenges in engineering today. And so that this level 8 engineering apprenticeship has actually the most up to date. So we're looking at the data analytics, we're looking at XR technologies, we're looking at lots of things that don't exist in other level 8 programs today. And that's going to actually, what's allowing us to do now is progress our level 6 apprentices into level 7, and then from level 7 on to level 8. So we actually have a succession planning right through to level 8, and we have a pipeline of talent coming through for those engineering positions. So that's just a little bit of the history for ourselves with this very successful program.
Thanks.
I'll pass back over to Yvonne.
Thanks a million, Greg. Really appreciate that. And it's, really impressive to hear how Johnson & Johnson are really using this apprenticeship program at scale. Just click. So just, I suppose, back to me. I'm going to just give you a quick overview now on, I suppose, the apprenticeships in general. There are two types of apprenticeship models in Ireland. There's the traditional craft apprenticeship model, and there's also a consortia-led apprenticeship model. And for anyone that may not be aware, the National Apprenticeship Office is actually currently reviewing these two models and looking at bringing the two together to bring the craft apprenticeship model in line with the consortia-led apprenticeship model to create one singular apprenticeship system for Ireland, which is a shift that is coming up on the horizon and will definitely be coming into play in the coming years. Apprenticeships are a priority for government. They have been for the last number of years. There's very much been a laser focus on it, and we've seen the apprentice population in Ireland grow steadily over the past number of years. In 2023, there was over 27,000 apprentices in Ireland, and the target for government is to have 10,000 apprentices per year. So in 2023, there was just over 8,700 apprentices, and that was across both craft and consortia-led apprenticeship programs. So we are moving in the right direction, and we hope that in 2024 we'll finally crack that 10,000 mark. There are 3 apprenticeship programs within the manufacturing apprenticeship consortia. So there's our manufacturing technician, which is a level 6 program that is run over 2 years. There's a manufacturing engineer, which is our level 7 program. That's a 3-year program. And then there is our new advanced manufacturing engineer, which is a level 8 program. So the level 6 and the level 7 are embedded programs within our level 8. So you can sign up to a level 6. And then, as Greg was talking about, you can have that nice progression plan where you bring people through to level 7 and to level 8 across those 4 years. So it's really, it's a really streamlined progression route for potential apprentices or for existing talent within your organisation. Our level 6 and our level 7 programs are accredited by Engineers Ireland, which is something that we are incredibly proud of. A lot of work went in to make sure that they pass those accreditation requirements, and we will be aiming to do the exact same thing with this level 8 program. So we will be applying to Engineers Ireland to also have our level 8 program accredited, and that was very much kept in mind while we were designing the modules. Paul, I know we'll talk to that a little bit later, but we did ensure when designing the modules that the criteria for accreditation with Engineers Ireland is reflected across each of the final year modules. So the Manufacturing Engineering Apprenticeship Programme, as Greg was saying, has been up and running since 2017, and it really is a success story in terms of these new consortia-led apprenticeship models. So it has grown. There's been a 40% increase in the number of apprentices registering annually between 2017 and 2023. We have over 500 apprentices enrolled since it began, which is, a real milestone for this consortia, with over 100 companies engaged. And it's really important that we reinforce this. This is a national apprenticeship programme. It's currently being run across 4 academic institutions in ATU Sligo, ATU Galway, in TUS Midwest, and also in MTU Cork. And we are delighted that Dundalk IT will also be joining our consortia very, very shortly, with the intention, hopefully, of running the level 6, level 7 program early next year. We've also had some very good press in the last 12 months. So one of the apprentices from this program, Hazel Johnson, who's based down in Dubuis Synthes, which is now J&J Medtech, she won the Apprentice of the Year last year, and she was the first female apprentice to win that award. And it really was quite significant for the consortia. I think it brought really good press, not only to herself, her company, but also to all the universities involved and to this apprenticeship program itself. And I think that really reinforces the strength of the program. There's lots of benefits for employers to get involved in an apprenticeship. There are financial incentives and supports available from government. There's a €2,000 bursary available to employers of apprentices. As Greg mentioned earlier, it really does help to improve diversity and inclusion. The apprenticeship model opens up these types of engineering roles to a whole new pool of talent that probably learn in a little bit of a different way to some of the traditional full-time students. So it really does allow you to have a broader range of people in your organization that come from different backgrounds and that apply different learning styles within your organization, which I think really is a brilliant way to improve your D&I. We also get back lots of reports about employee retention and loyalty, I guess because you're investing in your apprentices for 2 years, 3 years, and maybe even 4 years if they stay on for the level 8. We do tend to hear back from employers quite often that their apprentices tend to stay with them, and there is that, you know, that payback as such at the end, that there is that loyalty. And being an apprenticeship program, there is obviously the mentorship element of this as well. So each apprentice is matched with a mentor, and that promotes brilliant shared learning. And we often hear from mentors that it's a really rewarding experience to be a mentor of an apprentice, and that there is that shared learning between the two, and the apprentice is getting so much value out of that interaction with their mentor. And likewise, the mentor is hearing back from the apprentice, and the apprentice is opening them up to new ideas, to their industry technical project, and even some of the modules that they're doing in college. And from day one, your apprentice will add value to your business. It's not a case that you're waiting for them to get their piece of paper at the end of 2 years or at the end of 3 years before they start adding value. Once these apprentices are working in your organization, they are adding value from day one. As Greg said, they are doing a job in the organization while they're learning. Their technical projects are based within your company. So while they're there, they're solving problems within the organization. So they are adding value to your business from day one. This is a national apprenticeship program, as I said. So we have 108 companies that have engaged. This is just a snapshot of some of those. And what is involved if you want to get involved in this program? You just need to have a manufacturing process. You can be from a medtech background, you could be from food, you could even be from agri-tech. As long as you have a manufacturing process, you can have a manufacturing engineering apprentice in your organization. And there is a really broad, if you were to look at this screen here, there's a really broad range of companies involved in this apprenticeship, both multinationals and lots of SMEs. If you have someone in mind, they could be an existing employee in your organization that you think might be suitable for this apprenticeship program, or you're thinking of hiring a new hire and going out to the market. In order to qualify to come onto the program, if you want to enter the program in year 1, CAO applicants need a minimum of 160 points, and they need to pass in 5 ordinary levels leaving certificate subjects, 2 of which must be maths and or English or Irish. And for QQI level 5 or 6 applicants, they must have leaving certificate maths. And then mature students, so if you're thinking of taking on someone over 23, or you have someone in your organization who is over 23, they don't require a leaving cert, but they must pass a company interview in order to come onto the program. This year, we've also, I suppose, been gifted by the National Apprenticeship Office a brilliant opportunity to bring in new applicants into years 2, 3, and 4 as an add-on. So if you have someone who qualified through this apprenticeship program, they have their level 6 through the manufacturing engineering apprenticeship program a few years ago. they can actually come straight in and do a 2-year add-on. So they can come straight into year 3 and do a 2-year add-on. So they need to have a higher certificate in manufacturing engineering or a cognate higher certificate in engineering. So that would be, they could have done a full-time program and have a level 6 qualification in engineering, plus 2 years of relevant industry experience. And then they can apply to come into year 3 of this program and do a 2-year add-on. Similarly, we also have a 1-year add-on option. So if someone has finished their Bachelor of Engineering and Manufacturing Engineering via apprenticeship mode, and they may have finished a couple of years ago, they can now come back and do a 1-year add-on for the level 8. Or if they have a cognate Bachelor of Engineering in level 7, that could be through a full-time program. They have 2 years of relevant industry experience. So in a manufacturing setting, they can now come back and do a single 1-year apprenticeship to get their level 8, which really now is opening up the pool of potential students and apprentices into this program. And it's something that we really hope is going to allow us to grow the program even faster than we have been growing to date. As I said, this is an apprenticeship, and with each apprentice, you must have a mentor. For this particular program, for the level 8 Advanced Manufacturing Engineer Apprentice, they need to be matched with a mentor who has a level 8 qualification in a cognate discipline with a minimum of 4 years post-qualification experience, and that holds a position of engineering responsibility in the company. So that's really important. And we actually went out and spoke with our consortium about this, and the 4 years of post-qualification experience is really important, because there's a very strong feeling in industry that the mentor needs to have their own experience within their role before they can come back really and mentor the apprentice. So our program is structured across 2 intakes. There is a summer intake and a winter intake. Our summer intake starts in August, so they go into their initial block of 6 weeks. So they're with the company for 6 weeks, they get to know the environment, they settle into the company, and then there's a 15-week block release. So each year there's a 15-week academic block release when the apprentice is not working in the company, and that happens each year. And then they finish 6 weeks earlier in their final year, because their contract with Solus is a 4-year contract, or a 3-year contract, or a 2-year contract, depending on if they're doing the level 6, 7, or 8. And each year, prior to starting their initial block in industry, the apprentices must attend a mandatory university induction day, and most of those inductions do happen online. The winter intake then is, the initial block happens midway through November, so they're in for 6 weeks right up until Christmas, and then after Christmas they're released again for 15 weeks into their academic block from January through to early May, and then from May all the ways back to the following December they're based in industry again. And just to let you know that we do have a program management group. It is demand-led, so the program management group meet each year and they decide how many intakes there will be in each of our collaborating higher education institutions, and based on demand then they decide if there will be a summer and winter intake in each college. So some colleges will have 2 intakes per year and some will only have 1. And just for informational purposes, this year in 2024, the level 8 will be running in ATU Galway and in MTU Cork. And the academic block 4, which is the year 4, will take place in September only. So there will only be that summer intake model. We will not have a winter intake for those level 4 for the 4th year in 2024. So if you are still interested and you would like to get involved, the first step is to get in touch with myself or my colleague Trish Breen, and we will talk you through the process. So we will have an initial meeting with you. We will let you know what's involved from an employer perspective, and we'll give you a little bit more information about the requirements from apprentices and mentors. And then we will take all the documentation and pre-approve it before it goes to Solus. So we will ensure that the mentors and the apprentices are appropriately qualified before they go to Solus. Then we will register with Solus, and after that then you have your university registration. So for all updates, our LinkedIn is where we communicate with everyone. So if we have job roles or if there's any updates to any of the programs or any good news stories, we do tend to share it on our LinkedIn, and we really would appreciate if you follow us on there, because that's That's where you'll find the most up-to-date information. And now I will pass you over to Dr. Paul O'Dowd, who's the head of the Manufacturing Engineering Apprenticeship in ATU Galway. Paul, over to you.
Thanks, Yvonne. Hello, everybody, and thanks for tuning in this morning to hear about our excellent apprenticeship offering. So I've been working with the program, a bit like Greg, since about 2016, and I'm looking after the academic rollout of the program since then. And we've seen fantastic development of our apprentices. In ATU Galway, we've had 125 apprentices so far. We've worked with 35 companies, and we're just constantly amazed by the ability of the apprentices and the way they develop and the way they contribute to their companies when they go back. So we might just talk about what's in the program. So the program develops over 4 years. From first year, you have your typical science, maths, and CAD. Second year, we introduced lean, automation, and quality. In third year, we expanded out to the likes of operations management, project management, and Six Sigma. And then in year 4, which we'll talk about in much more detail now today, we have a balance of automation, manufacturing, and decision-led or data-driven decision-making and problem solving. So to look at year 4, or across the 4 years, we have different themes that run through the 4 years. So obviously, because it's an engineering program, we're looking at the science and the maths all the way through. And we're looking at the work placement, which Yvonne talked about, and we call it the industry module. That extends, that's the work done in industry. And then our manufacturing stream, it's a manufacturing degree, runs across the 4 years. We start off with lathes, milling machines in first year, and CAD, moving up to applying the CAD to the design of fixtures in second year, looking at metrology, measurement, and then moving into automation and PLCs in second year. In third year, we expand that out. We look at polymer processing. We move into the area of robotics and software. And then we have our new 4th year subjects in sustainable manufacturing, integration, and so forth. And operational excellence, business process improvement, that runs all the way through the 4 years as well, starting off with the introduction to quality and quality processes, quality tools, lean process improvement tools, then root cause elimination through Six Sigma, the bigger picture operations management tools, project management, and then new process introduction, manufacturing process planning, moving into our 4th year modules, stepping that up with process validation. And so just to talk about year 4 in detail, we can have a look at the way it breaks down. So we have a focus on operational excellence, as I said, and smart manufacturing, and then learning in the workplace, which is very important. That's our industry block. And in the 4th year, it'll be a little bit different from years 1, 2, and 3, because there will be an emphasis on production of an engineering final year thesis and a project poster, and obviously project presentations. But there'll be a more academic element to this industry project, which we haven't seen in years 1, 2, and 3, and that's to make it an equivalent degree with the full-time program. And of course, we're always looking to Engineers Ireland and including their learning outcomes. And in order to get accreditation for the level 6 and level 7, we had to make sure that our program looked at the science, obviously, problem design, or design of solutions, problem analysis, experimentation and research, and then that the graduates would be able to behave ethically in the workplace and be good at teamwork and communication, and also have an awareness of the business situation in their companies. As Greg mentioned, this program was designed in great cooperation with industry and also with our colleagues in ATU Sligo, MTU, and TUS. We'd a focused design team made up of SMEs and multinationals, and we worked together, starting off with surveys and needs analysis, and then down to focus groups, and then down to writing what actually goes into the individual modules. And it was great to see there was a great agreement across the board from our wide range from our consortium, as Yvonne was saying, over 100 companies, but there was tremendous agreement on what the content should be. And so as a result, we're looking at modules like this. So There's an emphasis on hands-on learning and practical learning in our 10 credit modules: Sustainable Smart Manufacturing Technologies and Advanced Automation Systems. The other big module is the industry module, so workplace learning. 1/3 of the value, 1/3 of the credits in our final year goes to what the students learn in the workplace. And then we have our other modules: process validation and verification, tied into new process and new product introduction. Statistical problem solving tools, which is a follow-on from Six Sigma. And then decision theory is dealing with the data that we collect, and systems integration is building and collecting that data from the ground up. So we just have a look through module by module now, just to give you a feel for this content. So sustainable smart manufacturing, as you know, sustainability is a mega trend. It's going to hit manufacturing, and we will be dealing with sustainability in the UN Sustainable Development Goals and so forth. But we'll also, from a laboratory and a practical point of view, this module is divided up into two halves. So the first half will look at what's new in physical manufacturing technologies. Now, we'll probably kick off with an emphasis on 3D manufacturing or 3D printing, additive manufacturing, but also what's happening in if there are new developments in subtractive manufacturing. And we'll be led by, what does industry need in our particular region, because we have a regional development. As we said, we're kicking off in Galway and Cork. So what do industries need around there? But also we'll be going to the Midwest and Dundalk and Sligo as well in future. So, and then the other half of this module, from a practical point of view, is developing a simulation model, either at individual machine level or a top-down bird's eye view of an assembly line with parts moving from one station to the next. So we can before we implement a manufacturing line, or while it's implemented, we can be analyzing the flow of material through that line, the performance of that line. So that's the first module. It's a big enough module. Obviously, we're working with 3D printing, with subtractive manufacturing, developing models of simulation models as well. So next module then would be advanced automation systems. So this module, we talked to industry to find out what they needed, and we have 4 sections in this module. So the lab time is pretty much split between these 4 topics. First one is material handling through AGVs and mobile robots. Second one is the robot cells themselves. And then we look at vision systems, maybe Cognex systems, and then PLC programming and dealing with sensors and so forth. So that's advanced automation system. Again, a very practical, hands-on type of system, working with, like we said, material handling, vision, PLC programming, and robotics. Now, system integration for operational technology is another module which works with our automation module and our sustainability module, and we're looking at the connectivity from the very the lowest level devices, your sensors and the data that they're giving, all the way up to your ERP systems, and how we can capture data, how we can share data. And again, obviously working with our PLCs, programmable logical controllers, and programmable automation controllers, all the way up to building a SCADA system. And then from this module, then you can see our PLC there, and that's one of the automation labs, and so forth. So we'd be using Ignition SCADA, or working with Siemens maybe PLCs, if it's Cork perhaps, Allen Bradley perhaps up in Galway, depending on what is the needs for industry in the area. Now, so the other area then is operational excellence, and one of the things we want is the graduates to be able to, for example, introduce new equipment in an organized way and use the organized processes that in your companies that you would be implementing. So can they develop a user requirement spec? And now this also then links into the automation module, where we'll be asking them to put together a user requirement spec for a machine, and then going through the qualification of the new incoming equipment, design qual, install qual, operational qual, and process qualification, maybe doing a factory acceptance test, and then an on-site acceptance test. So again, this is all about the engineer's way of thinking, the engineer's way of doing things, and stepping up from what a level 7 engineer would be allowed to do or would be involved in doing in your company to what you would expect a level 8 engineer to be able to lead out and drive, say, new innovations in your company. So statistical problem solving tools, again, this is a follow-on from Six Sigma engineering. So we'll be looking very much here at design of experiments. Can we analyze the problem? Can we define the problem? Can we measure the current state? Can we analyze the key input variables? Can we improve it? And can we control the solution once we have it in place? We'll be teaching students about A3 problem solving. And then we'll be looking at the mathematics of hypothesis testing. So we know hypothesis testing can be automated in the likes of Minitab and all that, but we'll be looking at it from a mathematical point of view to be sure that the apprentices understand the underpinning statistics behind, say, the what might be recommended from the likes of your Minitab. And we'll also be looking at gauge R&R as a crucial part of your measurement system analysis. And then, okay, this is just an example of an A3 problem solving sheet there where we could go through the define the problem, measure the way things are going at the moment, list off our possible input variables, and then rule some of them out, rule some of them in, run a designed experiment based on the selected key input variables, and then identify your main effects and your interactions and so forth, to come up with your optimized settings for your machines, and then you put in place the controls. So we'd be looking at the apprentices running through an experiment like this, either at home or in their companies. And now, so we talked about systems integration, we talked about automation, and they all generate a whole pile of data. And we know that Excel is one of the tools most widely used in industry by engineers. And we're delighted to have a module here where we're going to teach them in detail how to use some of these tools at a higher level, and also the theory behind decision theory and making decisions, but that way they would get practical hands-on advice on using these or experience with using these tools to help drive decisions in the workplace, because we know this is crucial. Again, one of the drivers for the level 8 is Industry 4.0 and this integration of equipment and the generation of data and the analysis of data and using that for business competitiveness. So the last module then is our industry block. We call it the industry module, and we've extended it. It's worth 15 credits in years 1, 2, and 3, but it's a heavier weighting in year 4. Because of the aspect of the more academic and theoretical aspect of putting together, say, for example, a research literature review of what's best in class around the world at the moment in whatever particular area you're looking at, we'd see students perhaps doing, obviously the project will be based on your industry requirements, and they'll be looking at what does the research say, what's best in class at the moment. It could be an operational excellence problem. It could be, or we could be looking at an automation type of solution. It could be a new product introduction. So there's a variety of themes in fourth year that could yield up a project, and we'll be very much looking at what's the need in industry. So one of the benefits of the apprenticeship is that, okay, it's engineering education, and it's as approved by Engineers Ireland in years 1, 2, and 3, but it's tailored to your needs in your company. So the learning, whether it's CAD or whether it's manufacturing or quality or Six Sigma, the flavor and the tailoring of that knowledge is done in your company, which your company needs. So that's and that applies to the industry project as well. So there will be a big project here. They'll have a project poster. They'll have a project presentation. They'll get contact during the academic block to prepare them for doing a literature review, doing presentations, running a project management of a project, and so forth. That's the soft skills developed in the academic block. And then, like in years 1 to 3, every student has an academic supervisor who supports them with their industry project. And also then there's a mentor assigned from the company to work with the student on the project. The student will also be writing up reflective logbooks on what they've learned and what they're learning as they go through year 4. So in that way, it'll be similar to the other industry modules. So that's a very quick run through all the modules we have in the program in year 4 in particular. And this new emphasis on Industry 4.0, but not for and the automation side of things, but not forgetting the operational excellence, which our students have developed a lot of skills in years 1, 2, and 3. We're also joined by Darren Fitzgerald from MTU in Cork, who was also obviously heavily involved in developing the Level 8. Darren, is there anything you want to add on the content of the Level 8 program at this stage? Or?
No, hopefully you can hear me. Like that again, even though it's in 4 different locations, we all kind of represented our own niche market. And again, even though we'll have a slight difference spin in each location, all graduates of the program will get the same soft skills. So yeah, plenty of detail from industry, very much focused to get that nice blend of academia and industry focused.
Yeah, thanks very much, Darren. So back to you, Yvonne.
Thanks, Paul. Is there any questions at this point? I don't see any in the Q&A box, but someone might just want to unmute themselves and ask a question. Very happy to take any questions, whether those be, related to the overall program. I can take some of those, or maybe Darren and Paul, if anyone has any specific questions around the academic modules. Any questions? No?
Hi, Yvonne. This is Hannah here. Thank you very much to everyone on the presentation. Really found it excellent this morning. And yeah, really like the blend of academia and industry-based topics. I was wondering if you could send on that presentation to me, Yvonne?
Yeah, so everything will be sent afterwards. We'll send the recording and all of the slides afterwards. So we'll make those available. Is there any other?
There was a question here about the cost.
Cost. Oh, sorry. So the cost perspective. Okay, so the employer pays the apprentice a salary that is, at the discretion of the employer. There's not a set rate, but we do encourage obviously progression as they go through from years 1 to 4, hopefully. But they are paid the whole way through their academic block. The fees for the Level 8 are €2,000 per year, but there is also a bursary available of €2,000 per year from the government for each apprentice. Trish, is there anything I've missed there?
No, I think that's it covered off. Yeah, these apprenticeships are different to the craft apprenticeships in that the company pays the salary for both on and off the job. But as we said, we don't dictate what that salary will be. It depends on experience, and sometimes there's employees within the company for a few years who you might want to develop. So it really depends. Is it an existing employee? Is it a new hire? So that flexibility is left to the company to decide on the salary, but that the salary would be paid across all of the parts of the apprenticeship.
There any other questions, or anyone have anything else to ask?
At the moment, we're seeing about 50-50 between existing employees and new hires on the program. Some companies are taking a lot of new hires, using it as an induction to the company and developing their engineers from the ground up. Others are identifying high-performing production operators who turns out have tremendous talents and who are take like a duck to water to the engineering role because they've worked with engineers and technicians on a daily basis. So it's working in both tools, an introduction to CAO students, CAO age students, and then to more mature students.
Yeah, and the new entry criteria are definitely a brilliant opportunity for companies to upskill existing employees. If you do have someone within your organization who does have a level 6 qualification or a level 7 qualification, that might be, you know, from a full-time program, and if they can show the necessary industry experience in addition to that, then this is a brilliant opportunity for you to upskill that person and reward them as well. It's I think we're really excited about the new entry criteria. We really think that it's going to provide so many opportunities to people with experience. Yeah, well, if there's no other questions, we might close it there. Again, I just want to thank everyone for giving up your time this morning. I'm going to repay that by giving you 20 minutes of your morning back, so you can go grab a cup of coffee or something. But thank you so much for joining us this morning. Like I said, I will be sending out this recording and all of the slides. And if you do have any questions, if you're interested, please don't hesitate to reach out. So the QR code is there, that will bring you to our website. Or like I said, you can contact myself or my colleague Trish, and we'd be very happy to take any questions or set up a follow-up meeting. Okay, thanks everyone. Goodbye.
Thanks a million.